So just to walk you through a little bit about on the back end, what category design, what category thinking can actually do for companies. This was a company called Big Panda that's based out in Silicon Valley. And Big Panda was a very deep B2B business. It was basically making dashboards that data centers could use to correlate alerts that were coming in and sort them out. There's a bunch of other companies in the space. They were about 4 years old, venture-backed. And this is what their website looked like, and this is how they described what they do. It automatically correlate your alerts, which didn't separate them from anybody else that was doing the same thing and didn't sound all that exciting. But they had a decent business in it, and they had some realization at the company that because we were correlating alerts, we had this enormous amount of data coming through our system. And they started to think, well, if we added we could throw that through some machine learning algorithms and start to understand more about what was going on, and maybe even start to automate the fixes to some degree just without having any humans having to touch it. They had all these big ideas, but they didn't quite know how to describe it, how to put it all together. So we worked with them and pulled it out of them, and they all started to, the concept and the missing spaces started to correlate in their brains, and they ended up coming up with this idea of autonomous digital operations, and a way to establish themselves as something that seemed different in the marketplace. And the analysts start to look at them differently, the marketplace starts to look at them differently, and it's a way to create essentially. At the start, one of the things it creates is at least it creates a conversation. They were able to go in and say, this is what we do. It's different from what everybody else is doing. Let's have a conversation about it and be able to tell you about it. And it's really kind of giving them a whole new direction. Now, Sensity was a company that made LED lights. And they had this insight that Philips and GE and everybody else who's making LED lights had, which is that you've got a light and you can put some circuitry in there and some sensors and get some data and some information out of it, and maybe do things like connect and have a smarter home kind of situation. But they also realized that if you networked a lot of these things together, you could collect an enormous amount of data and analyze it, and the data would actually be more valuable than the lights. And so they came to this concept called light sensory networks, and really sold it more as a data play than a light bulb play. And went to like owners of malls, for instance, and said, if you put all these bulbs in and connect them together, you could collect all this data about like the traffic going in and out, or air quality, anything else you wanted to understand about what was going on around your business. And that put them in a completely different bucket that made them look more like a tech company, a data company, a networking company. And about a year and a half later, what happened was they got bought not by GE or Philips at the valuation of a light bulb maker. They got bought by Verizon at a valuation of a technology company, of a data company, of a machine learning company.